A second would-be Conservative nominee for an Ontario riding claims questionable tactics were used to block her from becoming the party's candidate in the next election. Rachel Gilliland says she was denied the chance to run for the nomination in the Aurora Oak Ridges Richmond Hill riding and given no reason for the denial by the party. Now, 2 weeks ago, former journalist Sabrina Maddeaux suspended her nomination campaign in the same riding, saying the process had been corrupted. And the Liberal House Leader, well, you don't miss an opportunity, raised the allegations in question period today.
Her name is Rachel Gilliland, alleging things that don't seem quite kosher in Conservative nomination land. And that is after the accusations by Ms. Maddeaux of illegality in the Conservative nomination. And they just happen to be the only two women in that nomination race. Why? Order.
All right, so what should we make of these inter-party allegations? The power panel is back on that. Cameron Ahmad, Andrew Thompson, James Moore, and Shachi Kurl. I should say, James, it was allegations of a corrupted process. I don't think illegality was alleged by Sabrina Maddeaux, but she said the process was corrupted. What is your sense on this? I know there's often shenanigans in nominations, and people get angry about what happens in nominations, but a couple of candidates in the same riding repeating similar claims here. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know any of these people. I don't know anything about the process, but let's talk about it on national television. The liberals are fair to, to try to make hay out of something. But look, there's a process within every political party to choose your nominees. Within the Conservative Party, you have a right to appeal to a national council to try to have sort of redress your grievances, to make sure that these processes are fair and transparent. But every party goes through these dynamics where people who either are not allowed to run, who are running, but they're losing badly in the nomination and then decide to bail. And they say, well, the process was unfair because, there are too many new Canadians who joined the party and it was unfair and stacked against me. Michael Ignatieff, when he was dropped into his Etobicoke riding and Jean Augustine, left, and there are other people who wanted to run and they were pushed out. This happens in political parties. It's up to political parties to sustain their credibility with the voters in that riding by explaining why their candidate is who he or she is, and to earn the public support. So, I don't have any comment about this particular race. Every party goes through this. And look, when you're 15, 20 points up in that riding or in the province, and it's a very competitive nomination. There's a lot at stake. People are going to be really frustrated when they're losing the nomination and they decide to pull the chute and get out and then point fingers at the process. So these things happen. It's unfortunate that it spills into the public, but it's par for the course for every political party and every campaign.
Andrew, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, the Aurora Oak Ridges Richmond Hill is one of those swing ridings in the GTA, that has bounced back and forth. Leona Alislev was there and she crossed the floor. Leah Taylor-Roy is there now. It's on the target list of ridings. Is there a potential fallout from this sort of thing for the Conservatives?
I'd be surprised, to be honest. I mean, parties are given a lot of latitude to figure out how their candidates are selected. And when you get it wrong, certainly there's some attention to it. But if you don't go through the process, and I think candidates, when they enter in, know that you're going to be vetted, that there's going to be a number of different questions asked, that the competition is going to be stiff, and there are a number of issues that come into play. Where parties don't get that right, and you end up with candidates that haven't been well vetted, or have been allowed to continue on with attracting in particular constituencies that you may not want associated with your party, then there's risks to it. And you have to trust that the parties are putting some kind of control on who gets to represent them on the ballot. It's a messy business, and it's also a little bit of an art to figure out how you put together those coalitions. But we don't have U.S.-style primaries where just anybody can run and the people make the decision. It still comes down to the leader needing to sign off on you being the candidate in that riding.
Cameron, I wonder if this is one riding. There have been a couple other ridings where there have been allegations of favoritism, thumb on the scale, this sort of thing. Maybe not with the broader voters. Is there internal challenges? I mean, what's your sense in this? Is this just noise, or could there be something there?
Well, I'm starting from the same point as James here, as I have no idea who these people are.
Well, Sabrina Maddeaux is a National Post columnist who Pierre Poilievre thought enough of to give her a one-on-one interview, which he's not given to a lot of journalists in this country.
Absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, nomination processes can be quite tricky, and there are reasons behind the scenes as to why they may feel unhappy or why the party may or may not want them to run. The problem here is it's becoming a bit of a mess for them, right? You've mentioned there's 3 or 4 other or total cases of candidates, including these two who are fairly high profile, who've come out and made these serious allegations against the leader or against the brass of the party, saying that they're manipulating things in their favor or against them. So, you know, it's in their interest to try and explain what's going on here. Sometimes there are reasons why they can't. To answer your question, I think what's probably most disheartening or the biggest problem for them is how much does this discourage their volunteers and their members, right? Because, you know, people shouldn't get the impression, people at home should not get the impression that nomination races are somehow dirty or bad. I mean, they're a fundamental part of our democracy, right? They're often like the first stage where if you're a volunteer, you're doing this without getting paid, you're doing this to help out because you believe in someone or something. This is really important, and it's a good thing for people to be participating in nomination races. But if the person you're supporting or even the race you're involved in, it seems like things are not being done properly, and clearly in this case there's something that's weird, it can be quite disheartening, and you can feel like there's decisions being made way above your head that you have no idea why they're being made or for what reason. So it's in their interest to fix this, and they certainly have quite a few unanswered questions surrounding this riding.
Shachi, how do you see it?
Well, three things. First of all, what Cameron and James said, very astute. The thing they didn't say is that these types of problems, shenanigans, conflicts, call it whatever you want, tend to happen with the party that has momentum, that people want to run for, where they see an opportunity. You're not really seeing these problems within the ranks of the Liberal Party at the moment within their nomination processes. I think that should tell you something, and probably you've got some Conservative campaigners smirking into their coffee on that front. The other issue, if you're a party, is you don't want to be in a situation where you've improperly vetted a candidate or you've got embarrassing things coming out later. And don't misunderstand me, I am not casting any aspersions against either of the women who sought a nomination, but speaking broadly, yeah. So, you know, there can be, I think, a desire to err on the side of super caution. Here's the issue, though. Here's the particular challenge possibly for the Conservatives. It's not a good look for them among female voters. When the Liberals started to really lose the room among the electorate, it's when they started to lose women under the age of 55. Younger women, aged 18 to 34, have broken significantly for the NDP and Jagmeet Singh. Millennials, younger Gen Xers, they are going for Pierre Poilievre. Who are they? They're working women. They're working moms. They're concerned about the cost of living. They're concerned about crime and safety. They're concerned about health care as they care for aging parents. And still, despite this, there is a 14-point gap between men and women when it comes to Conservative support, and it is much, much bigger among those younger women. So if you are a party now that starts to look like we're the party that blocks young women or younger women or women under 50, I have no idea how old these women are, but basically blocks women from voting or from running, rather, and being successful nominees, that is potentially not a good look for the Conservatives. Now, is it enough of a not good look to make a difference overall? I would say probably not, but you can't take these things for granted, and you never know the things that are going to come back and bite you possibly in the butt later on.
No, look, you're all right on the need to vet candidates. In the 2015 election, I did a story on a guy who peed in one of these that didn't belong to him, and that was, you know, a failure of vetting sort of thing. But this, I don't know if it's vetting, if there's allegations of lists being shared earlier. Like, so James, I don't know, like Shachi makes the point that because they're both women and they're both complaining that way, does that give it the potential to become a thing, or is this just get contained into the little snow globe of a party nomination fight?
I imagine it'll get contained into the dynamics of local politics. And, you know, like the process, by the way, to become a candidate is very thorough, and rightfully so. You know, you become a member of parliament, you earn $200,000 a year, you become top 1% income earner in this country, you're eligible for a very lucrative pension, and most importantly, you get to sit in the House of Commons of Canada and decide the rules and laws and taxes that are imposed on all of your neighbors. It's a very important position that you're entrusted with. So when the process by which you become a candidate, there's a credit background check, there's a reference check, there's a criminal background check. It's a very thorough process, and sometimes it happens that things are discovered in these processes that people actually don't want to have become public, and you get disqualified as a candidate. Sometimes it happens that, you know, people have said something on social media that they've forgotten about that's out there, and that maybe they want to have withdrawn from the public record lest they become a candidate and embarrass an entire national party that's aspiring to become the governing party of a G7 country. Like these things matter. Who the nominees and candidates are for parties matters. And as I said in the beginning, sometimes when you're running for a nomination and you can't quite sign up as many people as the other side, and you're losing your nomination fight, all of a sudden it's the system that's at fault and the whole system is leaned against you. That's very, very rarely the case. And Pierre Poilievre has an obligation to the country to put forward a slate of candidates, 343 candidates across the country, who are credible, who are thoughtful, and who are representative of those communities. And he'll be held accountable on Election Day for the team that he puts forward.
Okay, we're going to let that be the last word, but I want to thank you all. Thank you to the Power Panel for having this conversation. Shachi Kurl, James Moore, Andrew Thompson, and Cameron Abbott. Thanks so much,
Thank
gang.
you.
Talk to you next week.
Thanks, David.